I manifested Wicked. They are actually just normal human beings. That whole set was real. My next project is a very well-known musical. Maybe that's another manifestation.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's your boy Rob here. We have a very special guest for you all today. Her name is Bethany Weaver. She played Dorothy and Wicked for Good, one of my favorite movies. So, Bethany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Now, of course, now we're super excited to have you on. And yeah, as I said, you played Dorothy and Wicked. So, just to start off from the beginning, yeah, what does it mean to you to have been able to reprise such a iconic role in film history?
Yeah, I mean, quite surreal, actually. I think I didn't quite think deeply enough about the weight of what that actually was until after the movie came out. I think in the moment on set, I just was so wonderfully overwhelmed with all of the wonderful actors that I worked with and, the beautiful sets and costumes and direction. So I think I didn't quite compute it until I guess the public's reaction and, the Oz fans are such great people and so supportive and so kind. I think it took, the realization that actually, this is a really big deal after the film came out. So yeah, I didn't quite think about it too much at the time. I think it was more the aftermath of the release of the movie that I then understood kind of the weight of Dorothy.
Honestly, it makes sense that you're like overwhelmed at the moment. I could only imagine what it was like, everything going through your head and stuff. But, you got the job done and you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
No, of course. And yeah, you brought up some of the, great actors you worked with, right? On Wicked, obviously you had an incredible cast with Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, all the amazing people part of this movie. Can you tell us any like behind the scenes stories or some great moments that you had while you were on that set?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my screen test with Johnny and Ethan was really special because we were on the yellow brick road. It was the first time that Johnny and Ethan both had stepped into the costumes and the wonderful prosthetics that were so intricately put together. It's the first time that we were all together. And it was the dog's audition as well. Oscar, who played Toto in the movie, it was his audition. So it was quite a big day. And I think skipping along that yellow brick road, we did a couple of test shots of just walking down and then skipping. So I think that was pretty special and memorable. Oh, and I met Ariana's dog, Toulouse, the famous Toulouse. Really lovely dog and just a very like show business orientated dog. He just kind of knew what everything was. He was very relaxed, very chill. Made me really want a dog myself as well.
That's amazing. Now, I love dogs in general. So that's super cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to ask you, like you mentioned the set, right? Like the beautiful set up in Wicked. I want to ask you, like, if you could give us like some sort of like in-person point of view of the set itself, like how it looked like in person.
Yes, absolutely. So, for example, when you first see Dorothy in Wicked for Good, we're on the yellow brick road and we're in Munchkin Land, and my house has just unfortunately landed on Nessa Rose. Yeah, I mean, that whole set was real, including the house, even like the disheveled, broken pieces of wood and like the slant in the structure at the very front of the house, even like the blue gingham curtains and some detail even inside was very much there. And even just the shade of the yellow brick that had been carefully selected and the texture of the Munchkins houses that they lived in, and you see kind of reprised in part 2. And yeah, I mean, right down to the costumes from the Munchkins and Glinda, her beautiful layered bubble dress and, my iconic silver shoes, they all kind of tied the moment and the set together. So it was really wonderful to see everything and every component of the movie come to life. I was so lucky.
It's amazing to hear that like everything was so impressive.
Yeah,
Just as
and real.
on the screen as it was in person. That's amazing. So yeah, you brought up Ethan Slater, and yeah, I have to say, for me, one of my like hot takes of Wicked for Good, I thought Ethan Slater, I thought he was like truly one of the stars of that movie. I
Yeah.
thought his character of Bach, obviously he like kind of broke out of his shell in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's super cool to hear, that you're able to work with him. And yeah, I think he's like a very underrated actor, I'm excited to see what else comes next for him. But yeah, and then Jonathan Bailey too. I always hear like great stories about him, and he seems
Yeah.
just such a great guy too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was so lucky. It was my first entrance into film and my first experience on a movie set. And, I come from a musical theatre background. I trained in musical theatre in London. I've worked in the business for 8 years and I choreograph musicals now. So I've moved over to the more creative side. And never did I ever think that I'd be in a movie for one, but not only a featured role as well. So I was really lucky. Everyone knew it was my first time and it was my first time acting on a movie set. So everyone was really kind and very empathetic. And I think one thing that's really nice about Wicked for Good is that a lot of the cast members who played the lead roles come from a background of theatre. So, I was so in awe of their creative stamina and longevity in their performance. And yeah, it made me really grateful because there were long days on set. For example, when we were doing the witch hunt, that was a really long day on set, and we went back several times because there was the strike and, you know, lots of other components that needed to be factored in, like fire and the dog and, lots of things. So it was really impressive, actually. I mean, Ethan was singing live from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 p.m. And for
Wow,
me as a theatre kid, like that's normal for us. You will go into rehearsal, you got up at 6, 7 a.m. and you go in, you sing from 10 till 6, and then you go to sleep and you come back and you do it the next day. So I thought that was normal. So I was like, wow, yeah, amazing. And then all these articles came out where everyone was like, wow, oh my gosh, this is so unheard of. This is like groundbreaking. Me, my little theatre kid, I was like, oh, well,
wow,
that's normal. But, it doesn't make it any less impressive. Hey, so, getting to watch Ethan just sing the same section over and over again and still be emotionally connected and still bring the same intensity and have that forward foot energy was so impressive. And I think, everyone on the set was really impressed. And also, Ethan was wearing, the Tin Man costume in that moment. So not only has he got prosthetics on, he's got a prosthetic like mouth guard. He's got this heavy tin armor on that, when we took breaks, someone would be holding it up so that it took the weight off of his shoulders, just so he could have a little breather and, his spine not be completely compressed. So
wow.
yeah, it was really awesome to watch everyone's emotional stamina and like performance longevity. I think, not that I have a huge amount of experience yet, but I think that's such a credit to the actors I worked with. Absolutely.
Wow. Nah, it's amazing to hear. I love to hear those stories because I'm always the type when I love like a movie or a show. I always love to hear like the behind the scenes and like about how all these actors or performers how they prepare and everything, and to hear how
Yeah.
Ethan truly was like to his
Yeah.
craft, like truly focused and in the moment and not complaining and just doing what he has to do. I think it speaks volumes as to why it's such a successful like movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, and everyone was very humble and very kind and just like normal. I think, especially when people get to a stage in their career where they're so glorified and, they're given this like A-lister title, as wonderful as that sounds. I was really lucky to work with lots of A-list actors who have very, you know, A-lister wonderful personalities and, their kindness was what they led with. And I'm really grateful that I got to work with such kind, brilliant actors. I learned so much from just watching them. And yeah, I think, yeah, they deserve all of the success that's come their way, whether it's in theatre, more movies. I know Cynthia's doing Dracula and yeah, I mean, amazing woman. Oh my goodness. I was really lucky to do a couple of scenes with her and act opposite her. So yeah, I just in awe of everyone I worked with, from people in front of me to the people behind the scenes, doing up my buttons on my dress and helping me get into my shoes. I think everyone just really brought that A game energy, and it's why the film's such a success.
That's amazing to hear, and I'm glad you brought up Cynthia too, because yeah, I was like in both of the movies, I was like so impressed by her as a singer, as an actress. Like I feel like her voice is so like powerful and like captivating when she's like singing. So that's so cool to hear. Yeah, you're able to work alongside her, and what I love the most is that what you said is that they were all like normal people, and I
Yeah,
think that's so important to hear. Yeah, I think it's like necessary to hear. 'Cause I feel like a lot of times people just like to bash, like certain A-listers or like talk bad about them. But at the end of the day, we're all humans at the end of the day. And acting just happens to be like a line of work at the end of the day. We're all like normal people.
absolutely. And it's not the A-list actors that creates that separation between them and the rest of society. It's the way social media is shaped now. And, I find that some people don't differentiate between like an actual fact and an opinion. And, there's not that thought process all the time where people think, oh, they are actually just normal human beings doing their job, clocking in at the time they get there, and then leaving when they're done. Like it is just, it's a 24/7 job because you can't switch off mentally because of the demands it requires of you emotionally and, yeah, just stamina wise. Creative stamina is really hard to maintain, and you have to be a very specific kind of person, I think, to maintain that. If somebody wants to work in a library, like good for them. I love books, I read all the time. It's like a very small hobby passion for me. But if someone works in a library and enjoys it and loves it and then goes in and finishes when they do and then enjoys their weekend, like good for them, great. I wouldn't go and comment on it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's another thing that I've been introduced to. I mean, I've always been like dangled in the public eye, and I have this beauty of, people know who I know who I am if they click on my Instagram, but if I walk down the street, nobody knows who I am because I'm a faceless character. And, the most you hear out of me is my scream in the film. So, yeah, I think just remembering that everyone is human and they're just a normal person. I think that's a valuable thought just for everyone to kind of have swimming around their brain.
Nah, 100%. And yeah, so speaking of being right, a normal person, being human, now I want to ask some like questions, like so the audience can learn about you, like outside of Wicked and outside of what you're known for. So yeah, what
Yeah.
are I guess like who are you outside of Wicked and acting and all this, and what are some of your favorite hobbies? Anything you want to say, that so
Yeah.
know you more.
Absolutely. I mean, my day-to-day schedule is pretty packed. So I'm a business owner, so I run a fitness company called Pilates and Dance UK, which will soon be called Refine Studio. And yeah, so I teach several different studios where I live, and I do private coaching and wedding dance choreography, events and brand collaboration. Yeah, I think it's my other passion, which is Pilates. And, I was so happy in the movie. The first shot you see of me walking along the yellow brick road, I was like, my posture is a business card in itself. There was a stage when no one knew who I was. And they were like, yes, Dorothy's walk, like, yes, girl, strut. And I was like, this is the best advert for Pilates. I need to have a moment for that. So yeah, it's one of my biggest passions. I love to teach, I love to guide, and I love to, help people feel good through movement. So that's like another small string to my bow. And, I'm in the process of developing my company always. It's kind of my parallel career alongside acting and performing. So I mentioned earlier, I've transitioned over into the creative world of theatre. So I actually now more enjoy building a show than actually performing in it. I've made that transition in my career now. So I'm more into exploring the choreographic side of musicals. I'm a very logistical person, as in I love to build things layer by layer. And yeah, I've been so lucky to work with some incredible directors as creatives such as Grant Murphy and Brona Lager. And I've been so blessed. And then my next project I'll be working on is a very well known musical. I can't say too much about it just yet, but it's going to be a very, very interesting creative ride because it will be a show that I never thought I'd do. And I always seem to fall into shows which are kind of lifted off the page. So I'm really excited to do that. And just in terms of hobby, I'm a very simple gal. I love to read. I love to learn. So I'm learning Arabic because my fiance is Egyptian, so I'm learning Arabic. I love the feeling actually in my brain when I'm learning a language. It's a really unique kind of feeling. You feel like you're really like getting the brain health at
Wow.
maximum capacity. Yeah, and to be honest, I love to just stay at home and drink matcha. I'm so boring, but yeah, they're like my main hobbies, drinking matcha, reading books, learning something new. Yeah, and just just regulating my nervous system because my life is so crazy.
I love that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can like relate. I'm more of like a chill type of stay at home guy, and then I'm always working. I'm on this podcast, so yeah, I'm just like I have that chill type of vibe too, and I love how
Yeah.
passionate you are about your Pilates business, your working in theater, but like behind the scenes creating the shows.
Yeah, it all ties in together, and I love that every week is different. I meet lots of incredible people. I meet amazing clients. I meet amazing kids because I coach a lot of kids and teach workshops all over the world. And yeah, just really brilliant performers and actors. And actually, on the conversation of hobbies, I think maybe now that I'm a little bit older and a bit further on in my career, because I've been performing professionally now for 8 years, I love working with actors who like their whole identity isn't their job. And I've only really been able to separate that over the last couple of years. I think just for anyone who's really passionate about their work. Um, I don't work to live, I live to work because I love it so much. It's my purpose, it's my calling. And I love working with people who have like other hobbies and other things. I worked on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in December as assistant choreographer, and my dance captain, Beth, she's an amazing performer. She's, just been in Hamilton, and she's actually started Wicked in the West End in the company. So, like, so dear to me. And, like she makes cards, she loves to read, she goes to class, she loves to travel. And, it just makes people much more interesting actors. And the depth of conversation is so enjoyable. I think, especially with social media, and, we're all a sucker for doom scrolling sometimes, aren't we? I mean, me too. But yeah, I think just, putting down your phone and having a conversation with a real person. And yeah, I just love working with people who like their whole identity doesn't consume them in terms of like their line of work. Yeah, it's just such a cool thing to work with lots of different people and who have different perspectives and different schedules and different views on stuff. It's so cool. I love it. That was another thing on Wicked. It was really nice. Everyone just would speak to me like a regular person. And, we'd talk about Pilates, and we'd talk about, something that was happening in the industry, like the strikes and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really cool. I think to be a normal person is to have an opinion, of course. Just you just have to be smart with how you navigate it. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I love, yes, I think it's so relatable. I think a lot of people struggle with like, okay, yeah, I have my passion, I have, this business I'm doing. And then you kind of forget about everything else. And it is hard, it is hard to like balance everything when you're so like, passionate and stuff. But
Yeah,
but I do appreciate, yeah, that you like working with these actors who have like a extra layer to themselves. And it's not just about acting. That they're like interesting people overall. And yeah, no, I just think it's so relatable. Like, for the audience that's gonna listen to this, I think it's very relatable. And yeah, sometimes we don't realize we gotta create a balance. And yeah, we just gotta enjoy the moment. Enjoy our lives, enjoy being around the people that love us, and not just
yeah,
focus on one thing only.
yeah, absolutely. Enjoy yourself, everyone. You're allowed to.
Not 100%, 100%. I love what you said too about having opinions. Because I feel, yeah, nowadays too with social media, basically, let's say like you don't agree with someone's opinion, it's like, oh, I need to shut them down. And I've never believed in that because at the end of the day, we all have our opinions, but that shouldn't create like tension or fighting or anything. I like when I see people like passionate about opinions, I actually appreciate that, regardless of whether I agree with the opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And, for example, people having an opinion, I think, again, the influence of social media, that there's that urgency to correct some people sometimes. And yeah, I mean, some people have interesting opinions by all means. But again, you don't need to comment. It's not necessarily going to change their opinion. They're not even going to see it, most likely. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't really read uh any of the comments on external posts on Instagram. If people have posted on my Instagram, I've been so lucky. Like 98% of the comments have been so lovely and so kind, and I make sure to react to all of them. But you get the odd one. Like someone said I look like a lollipop, and I was like, well, I actually I like lollipops, but I know you don't mean that in a nice way. I'm going to hide that comment because I have some lovely people who follow me on Instagram. I have a lot of kids who follow me on Instagram. Kids think they know everything, but unfortunately they don't. So I'm going to hide that comment because use it in they might misinterpret it and use it in a different way. So yeah, I think everyone's allowed to have their opinion, of course. Just be really smart with how you navigate it and be really selective with who you give your energy to. I wouldn't go ahead and comment on someone's video to do with like AI.
Yeah.
I'd rather just move on and watch someone pick vegetables from their garden. I'd rather do that or unpack their groceries because I like watching things like that. Yeah, I think social media, it's got a little bit out of control with how people navigate their opinions. And I think what's been really lovely about Wicked is, it's not necessarily been like a sharing of opinion space. It's been a space of gratitude and love and, just enjoyment. The films are so beautifully made. And if you look at the all of the little details, for example, on the scarecrow, he's got like little woven like bits of wheat. He's got like tiny bits of wheat like poking out of his face to kind of replicate like a little bit of stubble. And then his eye color changes and that's got like a meaning to that. And there's so many beautiful details in there. Like you don't need to comment on like the size of someone's arms. Do you know what I mean? But
100%.
yeah. Yeah, I mean I must say I love the Oz fans. They're so kind and they're so gracious. They're so clever and smart. My goodness. I just love the way they get into things and it's clever and people have contrasting opinions, but people don't like come for each other. They really just, they challenge each other nicely. And obviously you can challenge someone's opinion. That's fine. But it's just so clever and so intentional. And I just love that so much. All of the fan mail I've got, people like have watched the movie, if you know what I mean. Like they've really just sat there, they've not gone on their phone, they've immersed themselves in the experience. And I think John M. Chu really invited everyone to do that and make it a real Wicked experience. And yeah, there's so many beautiful details in there. And like I think they're much more interesting to talk about, honestly. For example, my shoes had a tornado
Uh,
and the pattern was almost like the yellow brick road from like a bird's eye view. So like, oh, just so many beautiful details in there. They're very comfortable shoes as well.
that's awesome. No, and I do love too, yeah, all the little creative like details, I think that
Yeah.
shows like the true passion of the people making
Yeah.
the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love too how, yeah, you mentioned with the film, like honestly for me, I watched it in the theater and I literally came out just feeling like happy and just wanting to like, I don't know, attack the world, just like go after my dream.
Yeah.
It
So
just gave me
motivated.
feeling inside. Yeah, that motivated. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I know like your moral compass feels like it's on your sleeve. It's
Yes.
lovely. Yeah, especially the end. I won't give any spoilers if someone's not seen it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think the moral compass by the end of part two for Wicked for Good really balances out in the right direction where the movie goes, but also I think where the world should be going. So I think, I said to John, it's like you can put this story into current society and the way things are going at the moment. So I think it evoked a really powerful conversation and that's so cool when a movie can do that. That's why people make films. Hey, that's why actors become actors because you want to evoke a conversation and like allow people to use like a little bit of joy of musical theater and a narrative to kind of navigate and steer a conversation that needs to be had, in just like little groups around the world. So it's such a cool thing to be part of a movie that did that. Really, really, yeah.
100%. But yeah, before I let you go, yeah, so in the last couple of years, I've gotten more into like theater, like specifically like Broadway. Like here in New York, we have Broadway, and
Yeah.
no, I would love to hopefully one day see you, directing a show or starring on a show on Broadway. I think that'd be amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I would love that. Let's manifest that and put it out in the universe. I manifested Wicked. I'm literally staring at my vision board. Bridgerton is currently in the middle.
Let's go.
And I have a little box that I keep all of my achievements in. So sometimes if I'm feeling a bit not sure about where the direction is going, or if I've not had a good week, then I would just look in that box and everything feels fine. I actually, when I came to LA last month, I went to the Oscars after party hosted by Elton John, which was so cool. I love
Wow.
people from America. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just, the everyday American who I have experienced, especially in LA. I've been to New York and I love it. And everyone's just so kind and so generous and sweet and yeah, loved it. Really, really wonderful.
That's
Actually,
good.
some Wicked fans met me at the airport, and I've not experienced that. So it was a really new experience for me, and I was a bit overwhelmed at the beginning, but it was so lovely. And one of the wonderful fans actually said, "Oh, I'd love to see you on Broadway one day." And I'm
Let's
like,
go.
yeah, who knows? Absolutely. Me too, honestly. The West End in the UK is a beast of her own. It's a tough battle, and, I'm sure Broadway is just as tough. There's so many incredible, talents everywhere across the world, but especially in the UK and America from what I've experienced. So maybe one day I will be good enough and up there, with the A-listers of Broadway, and maybe I'll appear. So I'll keep you posted.
That'd be amazing. And one more thing, I love the whole manifestation thing. I love all of that and reminding yourself of your different achievements and your goals and stuff. So I'm a big fan of Dancing with the Stars.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know, I think we should manifest that for you too. I think that'd be amazing. And John
Yeah.
and he was a guest judge on an episode actually last season. So you have a wicked yeah, connection there.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. Oh my goodness, I can imagine it would be like being in the army. But yeah, I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not shy to it. So yeah, maybe that's another manifestation. Well, it's out there in the universe. I'm a big believer. If you want something, speak it into existence and, you know, the universe will answer. So yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Nah, 100%. Nah, I'm excited now. I'm excited for sure. But yeah, Bethany, thank you again, for joining us here today. Before I let you go, where can the people, find you, find your business, on social media and yeah,
Yeah.
thank you again.
Absolutely. So to keep up with all things Dorothy and all things choreography, Bethany Weaves with a little kiss is where it's all at. Anything Pilates, reformer, coaching, collaborations of anything to do with fitness. It's Pilates and Dance UK, and it's a lovely purple picture. It's my favorite color.
Sounds good. We'll be sure to add all that in the description of the episode. And yeah, Bethany, thank you so much again. It was an honor to have you on. Of
Yes, thank you so much, Rob. Thank you for having me. See you
course.
later.
See you later. And thank you guys for joining us. Until next time, everyone, take care.